Welcome. My name is DonnaRae Menard. I'm a local author, and I'm going to be with you today by the invitation of Josh Pryor, Northwest Public Access, and I'd like to thank them for having me here today. Donna Howard, Eloquent Page, and Sisters in Crime for supporting me. These are people who are right out there in the bookish community making sure that authors and readers run into each other, get to know each other, and enjoy each other's company. And we all like that a whole bunch. A few weeks ago, I was invited by the Madison, New Hampshire Library to meet with them in a debate situation regarding the difference between traditional and self-published books. And that's what I would like to discuss with you today, are some of the pros and cons for that. In this particular debate, there were three authors involved. There was a young woman who is strictly traditionally published, which is with an agent in a publishing house. And there was a young gentleman who published strictly self-published. As a matter of fact, while he was there, I learned a lot about e-publishing or e-books, because he does not do regular hard copy or soft copy books, but all e-published books. Myself personally, I am considered a hybrid author in that I have both self-published and traditionally published books. And right here, I'd like to pause for a moment and point out a falsehood that is something we all hear, or something that I heard early on. And that was that if you are self-published, if you begin with self-publishing, no traditional publisher will ever pick you up. And I began with self-publishing. And that in that, it is definitely not something that is true. I currently work with two publishing houses, Level Best Books and Of Metal and Magic, and in negotiation with a third publishing book for a different series. And while this is all going on, I am still self-publishing my own books. This is my latest self-published book, and it is Beneath the Fountain. It's a book that happens in St. Albans, Vermont, in Taylor Park, at the Goddess Fountain. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not supposed to call it that anymore. Now it's Ladies of the Lake Fountain. So, and this cover is courtesy of Joshua Pryor of Northwest Public Access. So I want to thank him for that. But going back to the idea of traditionally or self-published, there are a number of places where they are different. There are some places they are the same. Now, traditionally or self-published does not include in any way, shape, or form a vanity press. And a vanity press is where you key them up or dial them on the phone and you say, "Hi, my name is DonnaRae Menard and I've written a book and I'd like to have it published." And the first thing they say to you is how many thousands of dollars it's going to cost and what they're going to do for you. A vanity press is set up so that they, even though they market themselves as agents or publishers or book contractors, they're in the business of making money up front, not necessarily the best venue for your to be published book. Traditionally published books and self-publishing, the book market in general, is ever evolving, and a lot of that has to do with the introduction of artificial intelligence. At this stage of the game, almost weekly, something new is coming up, and we're getting emails across the line saying, check this out, watch out for this, this is happening. How far do you want to be involved? How far do you want to stay away from it? Myself personally, I am not in a position where I am interested in being involved in artificial intelligence. I do not want a computer looking at my book and saying, "Oh, we should change this," or "we should do that," or "this is the pattern you should follow." So I am not involved. If you ask me anything about it, there's not a lot I can say other than this is how you can tell whether or not you're reading something that might be an artificial intelligence book. And the fact that they are out there gleaming from authors to create books that are actually written in a couple of minutes. So what might take me a year to get published is going to take a vanity press less than 24, an artificial intelligence less than 24 hours. If you are going to be working with a traditional publishing house, very often people will tell you that you need to have an agent. And for most publishing houses, you do need to have an agent if you're going to be traditionally published. This adds to the length of time that it takes to get a book published, because you get the book done, you're all ready to go, now you have to find an agent. So you have to find somebody who believes that your book is viable and that they have some place that they can sell it, because pretty basically that's what an agent is doing for you. They are your representative in the selling ring. It's like an auction. They're going to be out there finding somebody who is going to offer you a contract for your book or your series of books. With self-publishing, you don't have that. You don't have an agent. So you're going to do pretty much everything by yourself. With traditionally published books, there is no cost up front. Anytime somebody says to you, I need a check for $300 or I need a check for $1,500, you should say thank you very much and back up. Because immediately you are dealing with somebody who is either a vanity press or is not trustworthy, in the fact that publishing houses, Level Best Books or the Big Fives or there are a lot of small publishing houses are not going to ask you for money up front. You may be offered a chance to have an advance where they are going to take your book, give you a contract, and they're going to send you a check so that you have money up front before the book is even printed. And an advance is lovely, but it is exactly that. It is an advance on future sales. So if they offer you a $10,000 or a $20,000 advance, that means that the profit on the next X number of books to the $10,000 mark or the $20,000 mark is not something that you are ever going to see, that it's going to go back to the company. Obviously, with self-published books, you don't get that. But with self-published books, you have to pay for everything up front. And sometimes it can run into a lot of money. I mean, thousands of dollars. But it all depends on how much you want to do. How much are you willing to do? How much of your time are you willing to invest? And in cases of people like me, how much am I going to be willing to learn so that I can do this by myself? And this may not be money that you ever actually recoup, or at least not for a long while. So you have to consider whether or not you have loose money, a change purse that's got a lot of silver dollars in it or something, so that you can get out there and pay for the stuff that you need to have. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Another object with the difference between traditionally published and self-published is credibility. And that credibility is established in the fact that if a publishing house is willing to take a book, is willing to accept an author and give them a contract, they have looked over the merchandise that's being offered. They have decided that it is credible, that it is something that the public is going to be interested in. It is written in a manner that people are going to be able to read it and understand it. And if your two choices are fiction or nonfiction. So if it's nonfiction, that the facts are all right. And if it's fiction, not so much the facts, but the fact that people are going to enjoy it and that it meets the genre that it is identified with and the genres that they publish in. Because not all publishing houses publish in all genres. As somebody who is self-published, these are all things that I need to look into as I go along. There is also the fact, some of the other things are that some bookstores, some media areas will not do interviews if you are not traditionally published. And that is because of the credibility factor. They're saying if Level Best Books is willing to take this woman's books and publish them 3, 4, 5 novels, then we can safely say that this is good enough for us to put on our shelves to sell to our customers. An issue with that is that if you approach a bookstore and you sell them your product or convince them to put your product on the shelf, if you're with a publishing house, you have center aisle publishing shelf space for maybe a few months. The next time your publishing house comes out with their newest and greatest and best, you're going to be replaced. As a self-publisher, I can tell you that sometimes my books sit on the shelf until they're flat out gone. And sometimes they come back to me and they ask me for more. Periodically, I have been contacted and asked if I would come and do an event because they have actually sold this book, so many of these books, in a specific period of time. And that's my decision to do that. When you sell with a traditionally published house, there is you're paid a royalty, which is usually 10 or 15% of the final price of the book. Everything before that goes to the agent and to the publisher, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. If you are self-publishing, your cost margin is going to be less because you've done a lot of the work that the publishing house is going to do. So you're going to have a higher profit margin when you sell a book. So I have a list of the different places that, different areas that the team for a traditionally published company covers. They offer you an acquisitions editor, a copy editor, a substantive editor, fact checker, publicist. Sometimes they will give you beta readers and blurbers. If you are self-publishing, you're going to be doing this all yourself. So periodically I pick up a book and I'll read it, and I know that it's self-published. I don't have a problem reading a self-published book, but I know that the author, the writer, has probably not invested a lot of upfront money in getting this book done and getting it checked for grammatical errors or punctuation errors or even the layout of the book. If it's a good story, I'll just keep reading. But every now and then, you get one that you're like, oh my God, how did this get out on the shelf? But that's because self-publishing, that's your decision. Nobody is stopping you. You're just going to do it. But if you want to develop your own credibility, you have to make sure that you're offering the best that you can offer. Besides the difference in the amount of money that you're going to get, a publisher, a traditionally published company, might offer you a title. When this book first came out, it had a different title. I wasn't sure about it. I tossed it around a little bit. I have beta readers. So I went back to these people and I said, well, what do you think about this? And they were like, no, that doesn't work. Well, if I was working with a traditional publisher, they would have stopped me at the gate and said, okay, we're going to change the title on this. They might offer me 3 titles, select one that you like the best, and then we'll tell you which one you're actually going to use. Okay, so that's fine. You give away a lot when you sign a contract to traditionally publish a book. You actually are selling them the book and the rights to do whatever they want with it. They also will be doing the cover. So they'll send you 3 choices and they'll say, pick out the one you want. Very often it's pretty much the same cover in different hues. The placement of the words, the title might be a little different on the side, but the cover, the photo of the cover or the substance for the cover is all the same. In this series, this is book 4 in this series, and this book is with a traditionally published house. And all of the covers for the first 4 books are all this type of mosaic, which is nice because if you see these on the shelf, you can tell just by looking at the covers that they are flowing together. So there are 2 more books in this series, and the covers for both of them follow the same line. They're all different, but they have all this mosaic feel to them. This one, because it happens, the crime happens at this specific fountain, this was the cover that we wanted. I had to go out and find somebody who could help me get the pictures that I wanted to be able to lay them out. I did find somebody who develops covers who was good enough to offer me a little bit of insight. And that's something else I want to say right here is when you're doing this specifically, if you are being self-published, as you go around to different venues where you're going to be running into writers and authors and different people that are in the business, it behooves you not to make enemies of these people, not to turn them off, not to snub them, because they are a wealth of information. In their own field, they know a lot. And very many of them are perfectly willing to come to your aid if you say, I have a quick question, or I don't understand this term, or where should I be looking for this? Most people will just shoot you out an answer and say, try here, try this, do that. Obviously, if you rub their nose in some soil, they're not going to be so easy to get along with. I hired a I hired a copy editor. I work with the same woman all the time, Lisa Matthews from How to Kill Your Darlings Editing. She pretty much understands the way that I'm writing, where my voice comes from. She went through, made the corrections because I'll never figure out where the commas go, helped me with the layout, but I paid for that. That's all part of my contract with her. I then sent it out to my beta readers. I sent it to the first set. They sent it back. These were the holes they found in the story. These are the corrections. This is what I should be doing. I made those corrections. I sent it out to another set of beta readers. Now, I'm not paying beta readers. However, they will, if they are other writers, they will send something to me for me to read. If they are people that are in the public, when the piece is done, they will get recognition in the book and they will get a signed copy. And for a lot of them, that's all that they want. Or I have a couple of ladies in Enosburg who do not want anything for themselves but want me to donate a book to their library. That's fine. I don't mind doing that. Because I'm self-published, I can donate my books wherever I want. I can do whatever I want with my books. When you're traditionally published, sometimes your contract tells you what you can and cannot do. It tells you what you can do for advertising. It tells you where you can appear. It tells you how much the book you have to charge for the book. I can't offer a deal. I can't say, if there are 3 books in this series, there's so much a piece, if you want all 3 of them, this is the price you pay. Technically, I'm not supposed to do that. I offer, during the holiday season, I wrap books and sell books in sets like this. The traditionally published books, I have to get permission from my author to do that. I have bling that I have bought that I pass out at certain events. The stuff for my own books, I can choose what I want. If it's going to be for a traditionally published house, they have the right to say yes or no, I can or cannot use that. Storage space is something else. I don't have to worry about it because I actually have a spare bedroom. So when I order books, I order 50 or 100 at a time. They come in big, heavy boxes. I store them in my house. If I am working with a traditionally published publisher, when I'm doing an event someplace, they ship them there. The problem with that is that sometimes I'm there and the books aren't. So I normally carry a backlog of books with me. So if I walk in to do a book event in a library or a bookstore and they say, the books haven't arrived yet, we're waiting for UPS this afternoon at 4 o'clock and hoping they're there, but I'm going to be gone by then, I go out to my car and bring in X number of books. I can decide if I'm going to consign my own books with traditionally published books. I wish I had a shorter title for that. I don't have that leeway. I can't decide a different marketing plan other than one that is in my contract. And they pretty much own it. They pretty much own the book for X number of years, or if it's going to be a series of 6 books plus 4 years, that's 10 years. That's 10 years that I can't do anything. And if the book is published and it comes out and I look at the copy and say, oh no, this is absolutely not going to do, then I have no say in it. There's nothing that I can do. Once a book comes out through a traditionally published house, it's all done. I can't go in, I cannot make a major correction. I cannot go in and edit the book in any way. You shouldn't have to do that, but I have to tell you that a book came out that I had changed the name in one of the semi-main characters in it. And there were 2 places in the book that I missed the name. I pulled the book down, made the correction, put the book back up. If it had come through a publishing house, I never would have been able to do that. I would have been stuck with that mistake. And I would have been pretty ugly because they're supposed to find that. That's the type of thing that I would have thought would have been taken care of by the publishing house. If I make an error and it's my fault, it's on me when I'm self-publishing. So self-publishing, you suffer a little bit of lack of recognition because publishing houses put out blurbs that this book is coming out, this author. They might set you up someplace. You actually might be doing a virtual event which has been pre-taped someplace that you don't even know anything about, that your books are available in places you don't know anything about. They're also getting them into bookstores. They're getting them into book auctions. They are setting them up at different venues that you might not have access to because being self-published. I have been in bookstores where I walked in and the first question, once I introduce myself, the first question is, are your books self-published or do you use a publisher? I'm hybrid, which means I use traditional and self-publishing. We'll talk to you about your traditional books. We're not interested in your self-published books. That's fine. I do not take offense at that. That's the way that they do business. I don't mind. I don't have any literary marketing with my self-published books. That's all the traditionally published books. They have a catalog. They put it out. It's out there. Some libraries will not take self-published books, which means that if my books come through Ingram with Level Best Books, so libraries that order through Ingram or other publishing catalogs, they're seeing only the books that are traditionally published, not the stuff that I have self-published. And I'm pretty proud of my self-published books too. There are a lot of contests out there where authors can actually win money and get recognition. If you win a cover contest or a genre contest, you are generally given some, besides, maybe $1,000 or $2,000, you are also given usually a place where you are going to be set up, getting some mass marketing, getting some, face so that people can see you, that you can talk to your books. I don't think Oprah's ever going to call me, but you never know. Self-published, you don't get, there are very few for that, very few. If I want to do cold calls with my self-published books, I can do that. One of my contracts doesn't allow me to do that. I can't walk in and say, hi, I'd like to talk to you about this book. I can do it with some of the other ones. I can make donations. If I want to donate a book someplace, I can do that. With the traditionally published, some places I have to have permission to make a donation, which is a lot of paperwork for one book. It can be kind of bring you down when you think about what you can't do. And when I am presenting someplace, I have to consider, can I put this book in the forefront? Do I have to hold this book back? What can I do with this? I talk to civic groups. I do library visits and civic groups. I do a lot of senior citizen luncheons, which is really fun because, first of all, they feed me. And second of all, I get to talk to people who have plenty of time to read. And as a general rule, like the feel of a real book, like to be able to hold a book. My books are all available as ebooks or on Kindle, and a lot of people use those traveling. But like myself, a lot of people, when they're sitting in their own space at home, they like to be holding an actual book in their hands. So with traditionally books, you lose a lot of your rights because you're signing them off in the contract. With self-published, you're keeping all of that. Another problem with traditionally published books is the delays. I have a book that's going to be coming out in 3 or 4 weeks. It was supposed to be out on the 19th of October, but it's been pushed back a little bit. And I haven't even seen the cover yet. So I'm a little concerned about that. Part of that was my fault because they came out with something that I wasn't real hot about for a cover idea. So now I have to wait for them to circle back to me. Everything that you do with a traditional publishing house, it's back and forth. They ask you a question, you answer the question. They ask you another question, you answer another question. And all the hoops happen one at a time. And if they're a board, if you're dealing with one of the big five, it's a board. So you don't have just one publisher in a publishing house that's making decisions. They have to talk about them amongst themselves. That can take a lot of time. When I am doing something, even when I first get started, and when I hit about the halfway point of a book and I know where this is going, I'm already doing my marketing. I'm already talking up the book. I'm already looking at what I'm going to have for a cover. So I'm doing all this by myself. So that when the book comes back from my last set of beta readers, and I've made the corrections, and maybe I send it out to pre-readers, and it comes back and everything's all set, I can push the button. I have everything already in line. I don't have to worry about what's going to be happening somewhere along the line. As I said, there's a lot of reasons to go traditional. There are a lot of reasons to go with self-publishing. They're all things that you need to do a little research in yourself. I'm DonnaRae Menard. I'm a local author. My latest 2 books are Beneath the Fountain, which happens in St. Albans, Vermont, in Taylor Park at the Goddess Fountain, and Murder on the Small Farm, which is the 4th book in the It's Never Too Late series with Caitlin Took. You can check me out on my website. Can you see it? There you go. You can check me out on my website. You can order books from there. You can give me, my email is available. If you want to talk to me on the storyline at the top, just put that you saw me here, and I'll check it right out and I'll get back to you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And once again, thank you Northwest Access TV for having me today.